Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Vietnam Innovators. I'm your host, Hao Tran. Thank you again for tuning in every week and supporting the show. Without you, the show would not be possible. Our guest here today, Sal Lonsdale. She's been a dear friend of mine for many years, too many that I forgot how many, but I've known her for a long time. And I've wanted her to be on the show for some time, and we finally found a moment to get her on. And, she's got a couple interesting company updates that I find for our audience to be potentially quite interesting, especially with what's going on in the world right now. So getting her insights would be very, very insightful. And we'll hear the rest from her, though. Giselle,
Thank you
for joining the studio.
Of course.
Yes.
Happy to be here, and thank you for having me.
Yes. I'd love to hear from you. You are Vietnamese, born and bred. You lived abroad for some time. There's quite a bit of a trend happening at the moment as well, where, so for me at least, and for you as well, I think people that had some working experience or studied overseas, let's say, that had that opportunity, they kind of stayed abroad. But more and more, we're seeing Vietnamese who did that now come home.
Yeah.
Let's share that trend a little bit, and from even your own experience.
Sure, definitely.
Why did you choose to come back to Vietnam?
Yeah, definitely. And I'm so glad that to have you in among everybody that kind of like going through the same some sort of same of experience, born and bred, and then living overseas, exposure, having also a second home, and then coming back again.
Yeah.
I was born in Hanoi, the capital, and my house, the house that I grew up in, is actually right across the street from Ho Chi Minh Mausoleum, and it's in a military compound. And so that's where I grew up. And then I moved to the U.S., living there, worked there, and living there. First in Colorado, then of course in the Bay Area, California, for 20 years, and then realized that there's a lot of things to do in Vietnam. At that point, I was helping to with a couple of introducing Silicon Valley people to Vietnam, and also kind of angel investing in a couple of companies in Vietnam. And then one of the company didn't make it, and I just kind of look at the number. So I started Lixivox in 2016. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's my return home story.
Yeah. So you were kind of looking from the outside, even though you were from the inside, technically. Your career, you studied overseas, but you saw the potential. You dabbled here and there, and eventually you came back. What is it like for you after so many years back now, 6 or so years? Have you found the adaptation to be pretty smooth, or maybe it wasn't at first?
Yeah, definitely a lot of adjustment. Is almost like a readjustment to the new culture again, right? Because if you live anywhere during your teen years, and of course college, that's really influence your life, right? So for me, it was just coming back and readjusting to the culture, the weather, the way people are working, all this kind of thing. But there's a lot of positive, which mean that there's opportunity. So in a place that there's still not a lot of structure, there's still a lot of room to improve. This is where you put your sweat and soul in there, and then things are gonna happen. Yeah,
Okay.
just like what you're doing right now with Visetera.
Sure. Yeah, I can totally relate. Well, let's hear about it from your perspective as an entrepreneur yourself. You mentioned Lixivox, and for those of you that don't know, what is Lixivox? Mostly B2C, from what I understand, and I'm not exactly the target audience, but cosmetics, healthcare products, and many more. You guys would know better than I would about that audience, but maybe you can explain your own experiences.
Sure.
What is Lixivox first, and then what problem you're trying to solve, and then your own experience.
Yeah, definitely. It came from my own experience, of being able to expose to many product, many brands, and be able to shop on an online shopping platform so well. And at that point, there was not a lot of even e-commerce infrastructure in Vietnam. So there was it's just a popping up of everyone was starting. So I see the opportunity, and I was like, I know at the beginning, all the e-commerce they want to burn money. They want to burn cash so that they can get volume. And as an investor, building a startup, I'm completely in the opposite way. I built a sustainable company, and we are growing, and to just going back to like if we turn off the multiple growth and we go back to something called lazy growth, then we can be super profitable. Yeah. So that's what Lixivox is in terms of business. In terms of experience, I can say that it is a specialized e-commerce. What that means is that we don't sell all the brands in the world, we don't sell all the products in the world, but we're very selected on things that people need, things that people want. There are a lot of product education from outside, and people come to us for experience. So our user is not a normal user that only buy. They are the one who buy and unboxing and put it on social media and referring other friends, and they review the product. So they are very engaged type of user, and they're also the trendsetter. So people are trendsetter are usually the one who want to go to buy at Lixivox. Yeah, and of course there are I think half of the customer of Lixivox is just like yourself. Do you want to look for an easy gift?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I am the target customer.
That's a huge target, actually. Yeah. We did not know that until we actually looking at our database and figuring out that people actually requesting and saying, hey, since we shop here, and why don't we have something for men as well? So this is something that we're working on in the pipeline as well. Yeah.
Okay.
I want to do a little bit of like sharing about how I got to choose what and what philosophy of Lixivox bringing the brand and product into the market. So at a shopper during my 20 in the US, of course, like I was actually making money from day trading a lot.
Okay.
So I shop at Saks Fifth,
not
Nordstrom.
financial advice. Don't day trade.
Yeah, no day trading advice. Yeah, So I, of course, as anyone else, and working in corporate America, I shop at Saks Fifth and Nordstrom and Barney's, and all these brands like Marc Jacob, Coach, and Michael Kors and such. And then I got exposed to local brands when I started Europe trip and a long trip, and also Japan as well. And I realized that there's such an arbitrage of the brands, the quality, the tax, and the trading side of it as well. So you can find like really good local products everywhere.
Yep.
And brand or without high street brand, or even no brand, they're everywhere. So, say for example, in Spain and Portugal, instead of only buying brands, well-known brand like Zara and Gucci, you have like Loma y Lola, those kind of brands, or Osho. Yeah, so those are really, really good brands that, only the local would know that. And then of course you go Italy and you're like, oh wow, Loro Piana, the best cashmere in the world, that belongs to LVMH, is like much cheaper for some reason, right? So you go to every single country and you see that like there are such a niche product over there, and you can actually see if there is villages of places that want to trade those products, and you, as long as you can tell the consumer in a certain market, like in Vietnam, that hey, there's such a product over there, and so that's my passion coming from.
Okay.
So I want to find really niche and cool products, and and bringing into the market and say, look, this is really cool, and they know it, like how the quality is really high over there, and then that's what we can bring to the market.
Okay.
Yeah. So those are the kind of sharing on how I shop, and it's translate into how I want to bring product into Lixivox for the consumer. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's affordable.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and I mean, you were in Silicon Valley, right? Of course, all these brands. Back then, it was like Allbirds shoes, Lululemon yoga pants, and a Uniqlo jacket. But then, 10 years later, you'll see it's an On Cloud shoes, Alo yoga pants, and now like Patagonia jacket, right? So yeah, things change all the time. It's just a matter of like how to get updated, but in a more like affordable luxury product. Yeah. And when I'm a mom, I got exposed to all these like cool gadgets. Of course, in Silicon Valley, it's like a $1,600, crib, the snoo, the famous snoo, and then a $300 baby monitor that you can actually teach you like how the baby breathing and things like that, and also like a hands-free carry around press pump LV, very famous product. So I think that the consumer in Vietnam deserve to have a certain those type of products as well that help them to have a better life, more efficient life, and easier in terms of raising children.
Okay.
And so I'm just looking into figuring out what brands to bring in, and that is the promise that I will make for this market. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you heard it from Ji Sao herself. She's made the promise, guys. It's on posterity on camera.
Yeah.
So most e-commerce companies, I was just reading something online. Obviously, these are the general e-commerce sites like the Tikis and the Shoppies of the world. At least recently, they've been cutting back expenses and costs, and they're going towards profitability, but still very far away. You guys, different approach. Smaller company, of course, but different approach. What has the last few months taught you as in terms of potentially fundraising, running a company with all the macro negativity about liquidity being a bit more difficult? What have you learned, and what are you seeing at the moment?
No, I have to say that overall, I think we are very happy that we chose what we did well from the beginning, and not having a pressure of like burning a lot of cash just to run the number, because at the end game, that is something that is very stressful. It's not healthy for employees. It's not healthy for the consumer either, because it depends a lot on the fact that how much cash you burn to actually keep running it.
Yep.
So it's definitely not the game we going after. And I mean, under this what you call is an investment freeze, and people call it a startup winter. Lixibox is like a shining 20-carat uncut diamond in the rough, and sitting there, and then as we speak right now, it's getting polished and measured and evaluated, and then waiting to be cut. And then we're gonna go shining right on the Cartier store at the Place Vendôme.
Okay.
So yeah.
So what's the future of Lixibox then? I mean, you guys are getting through this period fairly well. I saw you just open another store. I think you have like 11 now, or was it 19? I can't remember exactly.
Yeah.
Double digits.
Yes.
With this slower growth but profitable model, what do you see the next couple years playing out for Lixibox?
So the next couple of years is actually multiple growth. Yeah. So we looking into, we built a great foundation, and not only on the consumer side, you can see that the website is nice. We have magazines. We have a lot of things that we invest to get the type of consumer that work for us. But on the back end, we actually invest on the technology side to solve all the operational problem as well. So a lot of data, a lot of operation optimization. Yeah, so people come to Lixibox, and they are so surprised that there's such a good core on technology that way. Yeah, and indeed, we just had one of a great friend of mine come back as a CTO. He's been advising the company for a while, and then so he's coming back from Amazon Web Service. Yeah. So the growth, when everybody else freeze or die, or slowing down because of cash burn, or trying to be coming back to profitable, this is actually the time for us to grow. Yeah.
Okay. So take advantage of the
exactly.
possibilities here.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the team itself at Lixibox.
Sure.
I think again, you're playing in a field, e-commerce, where you have the big name companies. They're in the tens of thousands of employees, possibly. You guys are a couple hundred, from what I understand. Let's talk about who the kind of people make up at LiCiBox. Why do they choose LiCiBox? What is the team culture like?
The culture of the team is fast, fierce, and also fun. I actually don't believe in working, over whatever 8 hours a day, but I believe in the flexibility of being able to work anywhere, but still engaging with the team. So, during the pandemic, every time before the government announcing the lockdown, we already worked from home a month ahead. And, the transition is very smooth. I'm always on Slack. We write, communication very efficiently, and I work with smartest people and very under radar. So I love to work with more like a junior manager type that coming from another industry, sometimes completely not even knowing cosmetic or even e-commerce. So I want always fresh mind to come in.
Right.
And then to build things and to have the same vision with me. Yeah. So we're very fortunate to have a really good team, and and then growing as well. And we engaging with more people coming. Yeah.
We've had a similar hiring approach to this day. I mean, it's slowly, I don't want to say changing, but as you become bigger, you need a bit more specialization. So you do need people from the industry. But to this day, at least, most of our teammates, for example, on the business team, none of them have ever worked in advertising or media, let alone content.
Right.
So
don't you agree that they have fresh mind?
Yes,
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, and obviously though, as you get bigger, you need a little bit of awareness. So you can't just train the whole time, I think. But yeah, I think that's where innovation can happen. Even for myself, I never worked in media, so I just kind of started blogging.
We both
figure it out.
Yeah.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, between LiCiBox and Gia, I understand you're also a mother of two, and this is a very big topic nowadays where women in Vietnam, especially, they've always been arguably more hardworking than men, but their careers are more visible than ever. I think the opportunities for them too are also bigger than ever. Topics like diversity, inclusion, equity, and all that. Maybe you can kind of share your comment about that, particularly as a woman business leader. How has that experience been working in Vietnam, since you also have a comparison from abroad?
Yeah. So my first kid, I was a mom in the U.S. running a company in Vietnam for the first 6 months. Actually, for the first 3 months only. Then I bring my kids back to be full time. So as any mother, I was struggling as any new mom as well. Doesn't know what to do, holding my baby, breastfeeding in the middle of the night with a phone call from a lawyer, and in the closet, just make sure that that she is well, and so all those things I did experience. In Vietnam, I kind of run things like a company right now as well. So, with my husband's help, how to teach the kids, with the family's help, and also with zillions of nannies and, all the cool technology gadgets that, and products that, I learned from all the other women around the world, the most savvy women around the world, what to buy to make your life easier as a mom, they all touch me well. And things are a little bit easier. And that's not saying that like I'm still waking up at the middle of the night to hold on to a sick kid, and still feeling guilty if I have to work late and not be able to go home before they go to sleep, for example. So those are still the same. I'm still the mom that everyone else is experienced. it's just that I got touched well and I got exposed well to things that would make the life of the mom a little bit easier. So that is one thing that I'm working on right now on Lixibox as well. So we will have a very limited maternity and baby category, and that just aim to provide the products that focusing on to make the modern working mom lives become better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Working as a woman leader in Vietnam, let's pinpoint that topic. How do you find building and leading teams as a woman leader? Do you, especially a tech company, right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty curious. Do you see resistance? Do you see skepticism? I mean, I'm being a bit of a generalist right now.
Of
but
course,
I'm curious.
no. I mean, look, I work in pretty much menwear for a long time, including Morgan Stanley before that as well. And, in Silicon Valley, you've been there. So it's really male dominated. And I think that being a woman also have the advantage, not just all disadvantage. And it's because, you understand product better, you execute better. I have 20 years to work, and prove to other people that I'm being their right arm. The thing that I advise them when the very hardworking man, focusing on building the moon and going to the moon and building the biggest technology. They're all focusing very well on the big challenge.
Okay.
I was on the side fixing all the operation, making sure that they have a good team, they have good people, advising things that they don't see it because they're so focused. So I guess that is the blessing on that side. So when I'm starting a company and I see that opportunity, I start a company, I'm more confident on that side as well, and they have all the support. Everybody. I would say that the cap table of Lixibox have at least a 4 billionaire sitting on
Okay.
there. Yeah, and they're all behind Lixibox because they know how hard I work. And I can see, the vision and execute it well. Yeah. So there are different type of companies. There are things that people need to execute well, and I think that being a woman definitely give you an advantage on that. Or if you are a man and having a really good team of women that's supporting on the detail as well. Running a technology company and being a woman is another challenge as well, and also running a cosmetic e-commerce company at the beginning, how Lixibox was, and be able to recruit engineer. I would say that our first couple of engineers still staying with us until today. So
Okay.
6 years and 5 years and things like that. Yeah, so that's very rare. A lot for a lot of companies, but they see the mission. They see that. Every quarter they see that whatever they build that changing the life of not only the consumer, Lixibox consumer, but for the people they're working with day by day. So they're building software to fix operation of the warehouse people, of accounting people, making the sourcing team source better by data, all these kind of things. So yeah, I think that it was hard to recruit, but once they see what we be able to build and the business model and such, they stay.
Okay.
And it's the same thing how I was able to have a very high profile, CTO coming back from the US.
And sorry,
right now.
what's his name?
His name is Hai Vu.
Hai
Yeah.
Vu, okay.
Yeah. So he's coming back right now, and it's very funny because the story was that his wife was like, Sal, I think you're doing a fantastic job, but I think we're too late for investing. So on the next company, let us write a check. And I was like, how about this? I don't need your money. I need your husband. Can I have him?
Okay. Yeah.
So, the story was like that. And I think like they were very excited about.
They're Vietnamese as well.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So the story of a Vietnamese American abroad. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, make it for themselves, already have a very good life in Silicon Valley. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's great to see that trend continuing, going back to
Yeah.
what we discussed earlier. I think it's a little bit about just understanding the opportunities here too. I think people may not be familiar or even curious enough to know unless someone tells them.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, at Box, 200 people now. Where do you see that being in 5 years? What kind of player do you guys want to be in that category, in that space?
Yeah, so it's hard to say that where we're growing. It depends on. I think the most human intensive would be the retail team. The more store we open, the
guys
more
are
we need.
omnichannel.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And
tell me more about that strategy. Why omnichannel in Vietnam?
Yeah, so it was actually a natural growth for us that going to omnichannel. The product that we exclusively distribute and build the branding in Vietnam becomes so well perceived and so well received by the consumer. And of course, as a buyer from any of the the marketplace and also the wholesale channel, everyone wants the product that we promote. So basically, that's what Lixibox is different from other places. We bring in brands that not really a lot of people familiar in the market, but we know for the fact that they are doing very well in other market, and it's a good price point. It's a good product. It's called affordable luxury product that we want to bring into this market, and affordable luxury not only on the product side but also on how we deliver for the consumer as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's very niche. We're very efficient on how we operate as well, and so all the profit that coming back to the consumer and also for the investor as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Well, I always like to also end on the company note. Are you guys hiring, and for what kind of roles?
Oh
are
yeah,
you
definitely.
hiring for?
Anything from on par with me. I want a double 12 of me. And I was like, come in, we're gonna build a billions dollar very easily company when we and I can build that myself, but with the right talent, with the right mindset, we can all build that in a very short time. So that's what we want to do. On the other side, we can help the market to have a better product, to have a better price point. It's called luxury affordable, that like I mentioned. Better life for the working mom. All these products that people don't know that they actually exist. We can definitely help with that. Yeah. So it's a very exciting future, very near future as well. A couple of years that we're looking at. Yeah. Yeah, so join Lixibox anytime. Come and ping me on LinkedIn, Facebook, or even ping Hao, every time
Leave
you
a
go
comment
to
in the
Hao,
description.
and and then we'll make sure that he get all the benefit as well from Lixibox. Drowning in cosmetic. Just kidding. Yeah, I just want to have one question for you.
Sure.
That
Yes.
so. If you have to go gift shopping for your mom, the woman of your life, and maybe the woman of the office, where would you want to go?
Honestly, I don't know. I usually ask our office manager for. I'm like, hey, I get something interesting, and then she just kind of gets it for us. But it's a good question. I think in Vietnam. There's like the very, very high end, but that's not an appropriate gift to give necessarily for an everyday kind of thing. Yeah. And then of course you have your souvenir shops and whatever, the Tic Tac places, but I can't give you a definitive answer. There's like a flower shop, it's not really a gift, but it's more of a soft gift, I guess you could say. But yeah, I guess Lixibox now is, you made me your brand ambassador.
Yeah. Definitely. And also the next question is like, what do you bring when you go travel around? Like, what's in your bag?
What's in my bag? Well, I'm traveling right after this. I have
so
my
what's in your
clothes.
bag?
That's
Okay.
about it. I have a toiletry bag.
Okay, what's in your toiletry bag? Yeah.
I have a
Putting
shaver.
her on the
I
spot.
have a toothbrush and some hair stuff. That's about it.
Yeah, and
Should I
to,
be
like-
getting? Should I get more?
Definitely.
Like
mini,
what?
and any kind of mini size that, making your
Oh.
skins nicer.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
So, yeah. And then if you ever want to just getting mini size because it's easily tossed into your travel bag, Lixie Box is a great place to go.
Okay.
Because when whatever that you need to buy essential anyway, we always like come with a gift with purchase. It's GWP. GWP Lixie Box is a huge program that we have. It getting you to expose into like new product in a mini size, easy just to toss in there and then try out when you're on the travel.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Well, for anyone
Try that
looking at me right now, if you think I need skin cosmetic products or anything, please let me know in the comments. I'll buy it from Lixie Box. Well, thank you, Jisao, for that advice. I'll take a look at Lixie Box later
Sure.
today. You heard it from me.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in for another episode of Vietnam Innovators. It's been a pleasure to have you listen in. And thank you for tuning in every single week. Jisao Lonsdale, she is the CEO and founder of Lixie Box. Go check them out. One of the fastest growing e-commerce companies in Vietnam, focused on cosmetics and everything else. So thank you, Jisao, and I hope to see you back soon.
Great. Thank
Take
you.
care.
Have a safe travel.
Goodbye, guys. Viglacera Corporation is the largest real estate and building materials group in Vietnam, as well as the largest industrial park operator in Vietnam. 48 years of excellence makes Viglacera a leading full-service provider of sustainable and high-quality building materials. Having a total of 40 subsidiaries, Viglacera covers the entire real estate and building materials spectrum.